but thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have you sampled it?
I haven't sampled it because I have to sort out how to cook it.
Oh,
Because the sausage I had before was more like a dry salami. So then I was kind of thrown. I was like, uh-oh, now I have to figure out cooking.
well, yeah, just fry it.
All right. I
Yeah,
will for sure.
Make patties and consider it like bulk sausage.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we use about 50% game, this case elk, and then about 50% pork butt, which is very, very lean. And so,
Right.
and there's no fat on the elk. So there's probably way less than 10% fat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty healthy mix, all things considered. And
okay.
yeah.
And it makes good biscuits and gravy.
Oh, I like biscuits. Okay, now you're talking. Now you're making sense. I can get a recipe going now. Just let me know when, Kyle.
Do we have Kyle yet?
Oh, yeah. Well, I see his logo. I think we've heard him.
Because he's traveling
Oh, okay.
to the city manager's meeting down in Monterey, but he was going to stop, I think, maybe Santa Rosa, call in.
Ah,
Mhm.
so should I just go? Because it's 6:31, so should I just go?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. I think we're
He'll
good.
join when he can.
Okay. Call to order the virtual meeting of the regular virtual meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Garnes,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Carter,
Here.
Councilmember Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Woodall. Are you there, Julie? I don't see her. City Manager Knopf?
Here.
Oh, you're there. Chief of Police Connor?
Here.
Finance Director Dillingham?
Here.
Community Development Director Caldwell?
Here.
Water Superintendent Jensen?
Here.
Wastewater Superintendent Taylor?
Here.
Management Analyst Sanborn? Are you there, Travis? Nope. And City Clerk Dunham's present. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public presentations. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with the council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph M. Brown Act. Items requiring council actions not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda for consideration if the council directs, unless a finding is made by at least 2/3 of the council that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Are there any emails or hands raised?
I see no emails. Rosa? There you are.
Sorry, currently no hands raised.
Thank you.
Thank you. So count, give a little second for a hand raising, and I will close public presentation. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. Is there any item a council member would like to remove from the consent calendar? Hearing none. Are there any hands raised or emails regarding the consent calendar?
I see none.
Is there a motion to accept the consent calendar? Approve the consent.
So moved. Carter.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, John.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Second by John.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Now we will move on to the staff, city manager and staff updates. Page 19 in our packets. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, perfect. As the council may recall, staff has been, with the council's approval, placing surplus items on govdeals.org. And so our most recent auction has concluded, which of course included our crane, surplus crane, police vehicle, and a couple other items. And the auction overall was very successful. And I believe the revenue in once we receive payment, which is one more step to go, but is going to be in the $25,000 range for that for all that equipment. So that's a pretty good successful auction. We're happy with the results there, and we'll be certainly placing future items and going through a similar process as those are surplused as well. City staff was able to participate in the homeless point in time count for this year. I would say overall, our observations are that the population is lower than it was this time at the last count. I think we were also placed in charge of taking a look at Scotia as well. And their numbers also appear to be down. Some of the encampments appear to be somewhat abandoned along the river, but obviously during the summer, those tend to crop back up. So, but the point in time count is set at a very specific time during winter. Obviously, because of that, it identifies the most vulnerable members of the population in this area. With that, we hope to have an update soon on regulatory compliance for wastewater. We have been fielding several interest parties in terms of the facade improvement program, which will be rolling out here shortly. So with that, I will return it to the mayor, see if there's any questions from the council or questions to staff. Thank you.
Thank you, city manager. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. I visited City Hall Friday, yesterday, and today, and had all of my questions answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter.
No questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah?
Councilmember, yes.
I just wanted to
Hello?
let you know I was on.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
okay. Thank you, Julie. Council, well, oh no, did I say Councilmember Carter? No questions. Councilmember Wilson?
Only question I have is, when or where did we get the crane at? I don't recall us having one before.
It's a good question. Sometime in the late 90s or early 2000s, the then chief of police found, surplus items. Those are occasionally advertised through the Department of Defense and their liquidation process. So municipal governments sometimes are offered up kind of first dibs on various pieces of equipment. And so whatever the judgment call was at that point in time, they opted to pick up that piece of equipment and transport it to Rio Dell. It has remained largely unused. I have heard anecdotally that it was used at one point to pull a abandoned, burned out vehicle that was embedded in the river bar out of the river. Other than that, it's never been used. Theoretically, it could be used to lift pumps out of some of our manholes. However, there's lots of other commercial equipment and trained professionals to do that. So the crane has sat largely unused during the period here at the city, and it's sort of been shuffled around the yard to make room for other equipment. But it was a surplus item that that was free to the city other than transportation costs. And then, as far as I know, there's been no maintenance done to the equipment ever since it was acquired. So it has been common in the past for other municipal governments to pick up military surplus equipment like that. But obviously, it's very rare to ever see any of that used. So
That's fine. I'm just curious. Thank you. And that's all I have for questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
No, I also went in and talked to both the city manager and the chief of police, and they answered all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have no questions at this time, so we will move on to item J, receive report from Davis Street Park Ad Hoc Committee and authorize city manager to sign correspondence, page 24 in our packets. City manager?
all right. Thank you, Mayor Garnes and members of the council. So you may recall that quite a while ago, an ad hoc committee was established with members Johnson and Woodall to discuss Davis Street Park, potential acquisition of Davis Street Park, and future plans for Davis Street Park. So we have had several communications over time with Angela Johnson, the superintendent. Obviously, with COVID, the school district has had a lot on their plate to deal with that we don't need to go into detail with. But progress on this front has been really slow and kind of cumbersome. And the park continues obviously to deteriorate. And I think nobody is particularly happy with the current status of the park, the current arrangements. The agreement itself is quite worded in such a way that it's very confusing and cumbersome to work with. And we've kind of gone over that before with the council. And in the back of our mind has always been the idea of, concluding the agreement early. And so the city, this letter that is attached to your packet essentially serves as a notice of the termination for the joint use agreement related to the park. Now, that notice takes 2 years under the agreement for it to take place. So there's still plenty of time for another agreement to be drafted, a lease or a long-term lease arrangement to be made, or for the purchase of the park of that parcel to be made. I think that this helps, and the ad hoc agrees that this would, help to kind of set a broader timeline for both the school district and the city to consider what the future is of this facility, and then make proper arrangements to do that. So I would return it back to the council for questions or comments, and then Mayor Garnes, you might want to see if ad hoc committee members Julie Woodall or Gordon Johnson have anything to add to that
Absolutely.
staff report.
Absolutely. I was gonna definitely do that. Councilmember Woodall?
Yes, I think the letter hits a perfect balance. It lets them know where we stand for right now, but it does leave it open for negotiations and talk. So I was real happy with the letter. Thank you.
Awesome. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. I totally concur with the city manager and Councilmember Woodall on this matter.
Thank you. Then are there any questions? Councilmember Wilson?
I don't have any questions. It looks like you're doing the best you can for the time and the time frame. So it'd be nice to get it resolved.
All right. Councilmember Carter?
Thank you. The letter looks great. I just wanted to say that I really do hope we can come to, some kind of understanding, and because that's a great piece of land right there. And it doesn't look nice when it's full of graffiti and overgrown, whatever. We all know this, but I really do hope there's some room here for more collaborative efforts and that we can nail this down in the past or in the future. But for now, everything's good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And I feel the same way as everyone else. Are there any hands raised or emails?
There are no emails.
Rosa, I think. Is it Rosa? Are there any?
No hands raised at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Then is there a motion then to authorize the city manager to sign the correspondence, the attached correspondence?
So moved by Johnson.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second by Woodall.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Now we will move on to item 2. Authorize mayor to sign correspondence to the Region 9 Administrator of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. City manager. That's page 35 in our packets. City manager.
All right, thank you, Mayor Garnes. So the other week, staff checked up with County Public Works on the status of the slip out on Monument Road. The council may recall that back in February of 2017, we had a series of storms, really all across the West Coast that caused quite a bit of damage statewide and certainly in Humboldt County. So Monument Road was one of approximately 300 other similar storm event damages in Humboldt County. After discussions with the county and with FEMA back at around February or March, it was agreed that the county would take the lead on this particular project. It is divided essentially equally between the city incorporated area and the county unincorporated area. The county has a lot more expertise. It handles these things fairly regularly in dealing with FEMA, which can be a process to go through. So everybody mutually agreed that it would best be handled by the county of Humboldt. And so in this process, there was an original proposal put forward for a cheaper kind of solution to the problem that was essentially placing, compacted dirt and gravel and then kind of smoothing it over and laying new asphalt on top. Now, that was the original proposal. Included in that was also a geotechnical survey that the county conducted at this site. And what it kind of confirmed was the city's original suspicion that this slip out had happened before, that the prior solution, the proposed solution was already implemented at the site and that it failed back then. and that this solution would be essentially repeating the same thing, guaranteeing that the slip out on Monument Road would occur again. So the geotechnical engineering report recommended something called a soldier pile wall, and that if the council wants to go more in depth on that, I can ask for some additional engineering information. But the point of it is that it's a much more expensive solution, probably on the order of 4 or 5 times the magnitude of the other solution. So the county submitted a amendment to the original proposal, suggesting the soldier pile wall, and FEMA returned and said no. And so there's now an appeal process going on that's been going on since September of 2021. And we are, going through yet another summer construction season of highly unlikely that we're going to be seeing a solution to this slip out anytime soon. So the purpose of the letter is to, essentially align ourselves with the County of Humboldt. The geotechnical information, the engineering information speaks for itself. We believe that, a more robust solution is appropriate for this location. In addition, Cal OES, so the state version of FEMA, agrees with the county's assessment. They have also issued correspondence. So we are essentially joining in these two other entities' assessment of the situation, and also really encouraging a timely resolution to this, because it's still with FEMA, and the appeal is still not resolved. And so we're just concerned that we're going to continue to see this thing delayed and delayed, with the magnitude of all the work that FEMA has to do nationwide with everything that's been going on the past few years. We just don't want to see this opportunity slip by. And so I had asked the County of Humboldt Public Works, what could we do to assist, and this was their recommendation. So the letter is attached. Right now, I'm not recommending that we send it off to Congressman Huffman or other elected federal officials at this point in time. But we are going to reserve that in our back pocket to escalate the conversation down the road. But we want to first give notice to FEMA. So with that, I will return it to the mayor, see if there's any questions.
Thank you, City Manager. Councilmember Woodall.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson.
So if I understand this right, we're just authorizing the city manager the option to sign the letter at the time the city sees it appropriate. That's what the motion is.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. I think it's to send to FEMA, but not to the elected officials yet. Is that
correct? We would come back with a separate similar item on consent or whatever if it needed to be sent to Congressman Huffman. But this one is for the authorization for the mayor to sign the attached correspondence.
To send
to FEMA?
Correct.
Okay, that clarifies that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. Just a little bit of history. We did see the plans by GHD probably 2 to 2.5 years ago. That was what we call a soldier pile wall with tiebacks. And it was the $2 million project. And at that time, the design was probably 95% complete. Soldier pile walls with tiebacks are used where there's probably a close to 100% probability that anything else will fail. This is like the last resort, and it's an expensive proposition, but in this case, it's the absolute right one. Thank you, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And I agree with everyone that the letter is good and it makes sense to do. It doesn't make sense to just keep throwing money at something that you know is going to fail. So I support that. Are there any hands raised or emails?
There are no emails.
Currently, no hands raised.
Yeah, Tony.
Thank you. So is there a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the attached correspondence?
So moved by Johnson.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second by Carter.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Now we will move on to item K, ordinances and special resolutions. Item number 1, page 38 in our packet, adopt resolution 1525-2022, declaring the need for continued virtual meetings in accordance with AB 361, or discontinue virtual meetings and resume in-person hybrid meetings. So we've all talked about this ad nauseum. So I'm just going to make a motion that we resume in-person meetings on March 1st. And now if there's a second, you can have a
I will
second.
second that.
We have a second, and now is there discussion? Anyone have questions or anything?
I do have a I have a
Okay,
question.
go
I
for
just
it,
want to
Julie.
know the stat. Oh, Karen usually has the stats for
Mhm.
the month, and if we could at least hear those, please.
Sure, and I've got those. Let's see. I've been keeping an eye on the numbers on the daily reported cases in Humboldt County. Last Tuesday, there were 412 new cases. Wednesday, it went down to 241. Thursday, it went down to 160. And then Friday, it popped up a little to 196. So the numbers have been declining. And I do want to mention that I contacted the Board of Supervisors staff, and they are resuming their in-person meetings on March 1st. And so I reached out to the city of Fortuna, the city clerk of Fortuna, and Eureka today. And the city of Eureka has actually been having in-person meetings since the fall. And they just recently switched to full Zoom meetings, but they just had 2 meetings that were Zoom. And next week they're going back to in-person. And the city of Fortuna, they'd like to go back to in-person, but a couple of the council members aren't fond of the masks. So for now, they're going to meet virtually.
Okay, Karen, one other question. How many
Uh-huh.
hospitalizations? How many hospitalizations?
I have it here, but not many. I think there was 2 one day, 3 one day. Let's see, 2, 4, 2, 3, and 1. So
Does it
yeah,
say
they're
how
not.
many are current? Does it say how many are currently in the hospital?
Well, let's see, one death. It doesn't say how many are currently in the hospital though.
23 was the last
Thank you.
number I heard.
Yeah, I haven't
3,
heard how many.
you know.
Yeah.
Okay, in all of Humboldt
Mhm.
County. Okay, we're not
20
exactly
23,
overrunning
yeah.
hospitals.
Yeah, that makes
Okay,
sense.
thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter,
Works for me. March 1st it is.
Councilmember Wilson.
Just a question. So when we go back, are they lifting the mask mandate when we go back on the 1st?
No, the mask mandate is, the latest mask mandate says that you're still required to wear a mask indoors for indoor meetings for the entire meeting, even if you're vaccinated.
How long is that?
That could change, but for now, that's what it is.
There's no deadline or saying when that'll lift.
No, they updated it. I think it was November was the last update, and they haven't changed it. I just looked it up today.
And so it's still for in-person meetings, indoors or, yeah, full mask.
I just a comment. I mean, I as far as it's hard to understand, it's hard to deal with the mask while having a meeting. It doesn't really scare me so much, but if we're able to social distance, and I saw some wordage in there. Are we going to change how we sit, or the distancing of the council? Is that going to remain the same, or is that going to change?
Well, that hasn't been decided, but that'd be up to the council and city manager, I suppose, on what you guys want to do.
I have a question.
Are you there, Kyle?
Yeah, so right now, the configuration is the same as the council experienced about 6 months ago when we were in-person meetings for 1 or 2 meetings. What I would suggest is that there, in a hybrid format, council members can still attend the meeting remotely, is my understanding. And Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, that is correct.
so if it's more comfortable, and I certainly understand, to sit through a meeting wearing a mask is not a lot of fun. And so council members and members of staff can attend this remotely for the time being. There will have to be certainly some staff will have to be at the meeting, and so we're going to have to look at the latest requirements in terms of social distancing in the chamber itself, and it may require that we do some sort of modification. So I think what we'll do is have Karen poll the council members to see if you plan on attending in person or virtually. And then that way we'll know, and we can kind of reconfigure the chambers as necessary to kind of make that work.
Thank you, Kyle. Any other
Deborah?
questions? Yes, I just was seeing if Frank was had any further.
Oh,
Then
sorry.
would we limit public access, or would the public would they be in the meeting too?
So I think we will be able to accommodate some members of the public, but we will, they will have to wear masks, and then at the same time, it will be at slightly limited capacity. Typically, the meetings in the past have not seen, normal meetings have not seen, more than a half a dozen people in the chambers, and I think we should be able to accommodate that. But we will have to, if there are meetings in the future where we anticipate that there will be a larger attendance, we will probably need to, come up with another game plan for that. But again, virtual attendees, there's no limit on the number of virtual attendees. So.
Oh, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
Yes. I'm not sure if Frank or they've attended a hybrid meeting. They really go well. I mean, tomorrow I have my Humboldt Transit Authority meeting, and it's hybrid. And well, you can either be virtual or hybrid. And I've attended those meetings, and they go really well. And as far as the people coming into the meeting, I know that Arcata, they were having their meetings in person, but for the public to attend, they still had to attend virtually. So there is that option to where we could be in there. There's hybrid, and then there's not going back too. So I just wanted to throw those out there.
Thank you, Councilmember Woodall. Mayor Pro Tem?
I sure want to get back in the chamber.
I know
Sounds
you
good.
do. City manager, if, so the 30-day thing, I mean, so we resume and then we have a surge. We then, because of the way the governor's order is written, we would then have the ability to come back and put this back on the agenda and say it's not working, or is that a true statement, or?
So I think what we will do is this is going to continue to be a standing item, unfortunately, until the
Oh, okay.
council. My recommendation is that this be kind of a standing item. We revisit it again
Okay,
on February or on at the
March
March
1st.
meeting, March 1st, and we revisit it and we make a call, based on the information that we have. And again, we can hold this meeting if there is a surge in between now and then, and it's a dire situation, we can, as a hybrid meeting, again, the council members can attend remotely. So obviously it's a very fluid situation. It's been this way all for the past 2 years. 1 week you have a different set of information, the next week you have a different variant. It does appear, over the 6 months or so that things are getting better, and that, barring some sort of massive new variant that is hugely problematic, I think, taking baby steps towards returning to normal is appropriate.
I
Thank
have a
you.
question,
Go ahead.
Deborah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's so hard butting in to let somebody know that you have a question, but so I apologize for
Oh,
that.
don't worry about it, Julie. You're good.
Okay. I have two questions. One is, well, Deborah, I'm just going to use you for an example because I know you don't want them, but what do you have against the hybrid meeting? I mean,
What do I have against it?
Yes, and wait, that's just the first question. And then
Okay.
I want to know, does anybody know what the end of the pandemic is? What numbers we have to reach? What's our goal? I mean, they're going down. We're not overrunning the hospitals, but is there somebody that can tell us what the goal is on the pandemic? And plus, I don't like the idea of not meeting in person just because you have to wear a mask. In that instance, then we can do it, a hybrid meeting. So those are my two questions.
Okay, well, I don't know what to say, Julie, since I made the motion to go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
No, I just asked.
I made the motion to go back, so I just,
No, my question-
I don't have anything against it. I mean, from my perspective, anybody who wanted to be in chamber before that was comfortable, from my perspective, I guess could have been there. I didn't recognize that was a doable thing, I guess. So
can I make a I'd like to make a substitute motion.
you do it. I love it.
I love it too. I'd like to make a motion that we go back to hybrid meetings at next month, and then that way we can all attend in a way we would like to.
Okay.
So I'll jump in there. That is the motion. That is the original
I
motion.
thought that was the emotion. I was like, I'm so confused.
Wait, I'm confused too. Well, Deborah, I may have misunderstood you. I thought your motion was, what was your
Oh, to
motion
resume
again,
in
please?
person? You know what, Julie? I just didn't read so the motion was either to go to stay virtual or resume in person / hybrid meetings. I was reading it, but I didn't say the word hybrid, but that's really what the motion is.
Well, then I take back my motion.
Okay.
Well, then how are we going to vote on it? How are we going to vote on it?
The motion is the motion on the table is to discontinue virtual meetings and resume in-person / hybrid meetings.
Oh,
March 1st.
thank you. I did not catch that.
Okay,
And
Okay.
Mayor Garnes,
yes.
City Manager Kyle Knopp, I do want to make one comment, which is that, one of the questions here as to why we do the virtual meetings and why it is important to consider doing that is to run the hybrid meetings. This will require at least 3 staff members to be present in the chambers. You have the clerk, the city manager, and then you also have to have a staff operator in the chambers to handle that workload of running a hybrid meeting. And so, for staff, the situation is that while we have a hybrid meeting going on, there are members of staff who don't really have an option of not attending in person in the meeting. And so it is a good question that needs to be brought up as to how we do this safely, how we do this effectively, because we do have paid city staff who help make and facilitate the meeting. So I just want to, just communicate that. I think, we're going to be able to do it in a safe manner. But when we do these in-person meetings, your staff has to attend in person in the chambers, running, the computers and running the owls and all that stuff. And it literally takes three people in person to do that. So I just want to throw that out there in the event that it is possible that, there is some other serious situation that pops up and we need to go back into a virtual environment. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Thank you, City Manager. Thank you for that.
And once again, Deborah, I'd like to apologize to you because I didn't catch what you said. So I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it, Julie. Don't worry about it. I don't take offense. So are there any hands raised or emails?
There are no emails.
And I think I heard no hands raised.
Right.
So
I have
we have a motion. No, yes.
Is the motion still March the 1st with the,
Yes.
okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay. And Councilmember Carter, did I see you raise your hand or?
I am just nodding my head and saying, yep.
Okay. Okay. Then, so the motion is to discontinue virtual meetings, resume in-person / hybrid meetings on March 1st, and bring the item back on April 1st's meeting. Oh, no, on the March 1st meeting. We will also bring the item back. So is there, that is the motion. Roll call, please. We have a second. We had a second already.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
and Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Now we will move on to item number 2. Introduction and first reading by title only of resolution number 1524-2022 and ordinance number 389-2022, approving zoning and land use designation of city-owned parcel located south of Painter Street, east of Ireland Avenue, north of Center Street, and west of Highway 101 as a public facility. File number 052-321-000, case number ZR/GPA 22-01. Page 46 in our packets, City Manager.
And hopefully Mr. Caldwell is still on the line and
He
he can
is.
speak to this item.
I am, and thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. As the mayor indicated, let's start on page 46 of your packet. As the mayor explained, this is a Caltrans give back parcel. When the freeway was built, or basically realigned through the city of Rio Dell in the mid-1970s, Caltrans acquired a number of parcels in the new freeway location. After constructing the freeway, they gave some or sometimes all of the parcels back to the property owners and back to the city of Rio Dell. If the council members look on page 47 of their packet, there is a map that actually identifies that parcel. And this parcel is, in fact, the parcel that we have an approved grant for a dog park. We actually discovered that the property was not zoned through the application process for that grant. In order to zone it, we have to basically go through a plan amendment process and a zone reclassification process. That's where we have the attached resolution and ordinances that the mayor described. I'm sorry, the required findings in order for a plan amendment and zone reclassification is one, that the amendments have to be in the public interest. State law actually requires that all parcels within all jurisdictions have a land designation, and state determined that that, in fact, is in the public interest. We believe the appropriate designation, because it is owned by the city of Rio Dell, is the public facility designation. The definition of the public facility designation is basically intended to be applied to lands owned by public agencies or lands upon which public agencies operate public facilities. So we can certainly make that public interest finding. The second finding the city council needs to make is that the amendments are consistent and compatible with the rest of the general plan. There are no policies that would preclude designating the property public facility, so we can make that finding as well. We also have to assess the potential impacts of the amendments regarding public health, safety, and welfare. There is no evidence to suggest that the designation of the property to public facility would be injurious to the public health, safety, or welfare. It should be noted that we sent out approximately 15 public notices to properties within 300 feet of the subject property, and we did not receive any comments or correspondence or concerns regarding designating the property as a public facility. The last finding is in regards to the California Environmental Quality Act. Basically, it is a project, and because it is going to be designated a public facility, and the foreseeable and hopefully actual project that's going to occur on the property is the dog park, we did file a notice of exemption utilizing several categorical exemptions under CEQA, 15301, 15303, and 15304. And those are basically minor alterations to lands, small facilities, and not the removal of any healthy or mature or scenic trees. Because the dog park property or project is exempt, staff is utilizing the common sense provision, which is section 15061B3 of the guidelines. It basically says that if there are no potential significant impacts as a result of the project, we can utilize this exemption, and that's what staff is recommending. As such, this is the first reading, the introduction of both the resolution and the ordinance. Staff is recommending that the second reading, approval, and adoption be scheduled for your council meeting on February 18th.
15.
If you have any questions.
15.
Excuse me? Is it the 15th? I'm sorry, you are correct. It is the 15th. My apologies. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Community Development Director Caldwell. So I will reach out to Councilmember Carter.
No questions. It's exciting. Let's zone it. Let's get us a park.
All
I'm
right.
good.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
You know, for 40 plus years, the city has owned this, and we've treated it like it is a public facility. It's time we got legal, I guess. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Wilson.
No questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions. Are there any emails or hands raised?
There are no hands raised at the moment.
And
Thank
there are no emails.
Thank you. And so I think it just carries forth. There's no vote Or is,
There should be a vote, Mayor Guines.
there should be a vote. So we vote to
Except,
accept the first reading and schedule the second reading and adoption for February 15th. Is there a
Correct.
motion?
so moved by
So
Johnson.
move Woodall.
We have a motion and we kind of have two motions. So one can be a
Well, I'll
second.
be the I'll be
Okay,
the
thank
second.
you. Thank you, Councilmember Woodall. A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes,
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. And that brings us to council reports and communications. Mayor Pro Tem.
thank you, Mayor Guines. At our last meeting during the presentation by GHD, I believe there was a question by Councilmember Woodall and what is vitrified clay? And GHD kind of deflected that to me, and I gave a partial answer, said that it was something like modeling clay. And that is true to the extent that that's one component of vitrified clay. There's normally some shale also mixed in with it, but the vitrification process is firing it or heating it kind of like we would a ceramic. And we see these red clay tiles or terracotta type materials, and they are normally in 6-foot lengths, small diameters from up to about 12 inches. Their normal lifespan is about 50 years. We have a lot of plastics out there that come in normally 20-foot lengths that are much easier to handle, not nearly as brittle, and have a service life of 100 years. So I just wanted to add on to what I said 2 weeks ago. I have no other items to report, but it's good to be back into meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Carter?
Thank you. I attended the REDEC meeting on January 24th. We heard a program from the executive director of the Humboldt County Growers Alliance. So that was scary. It sounds scary out there. So just, I mean, I guess I would just put it out there and say she was really, really nice. And if anybody ever had questions or wanted to hear from her, she was a good speaker and it was very informative. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
Just a few things. I have an HTA meeting tomorrow, and I wanted to comment on our last nuisance abatement committee meeting. Things are going really well. Our new CSO officer is doing great. We had 2 larger abatements that the city did, and I want to thank, it was a nice collaboration between our CSO officer, Sabrina in the office, and the chief. They did a good job, and I just wanted you to know things are going good. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Woodall. Councilmember Wilson?
Yeah, I had a RCEA meeting and they're still moving ahead on offshore wind and working on those things. The one item that you probably want to keep your ears out for is the California Public Utilities Commission and the state legislature in general are working on a thing called, they want to change the net metering that people have for solar. And they're wanting to basically raise the rates that people pay who have solar on their rooftops. They want to, the main line of thought is that the people that, the lower income people in the state of California are subsidizing the people that have solar panels. And so they want to cut down, they want to raise the tariff, they want to cut back on what you put back into the grid. They want to cut that down substantially. They want to add additional fees if you're going to be, if you're already on the net metering, that you're going to pay an additional fee to be on the new net metering system. And it's making it very difficult for not only the people that want to put solar on their roof, but also for the companies that want to install it, where it's an answer to energy use, and the state wants to make it difficult. So just keep your ears out when this stuff comes up. It's a new net metering thing in the NET time of use situation. And of course, I'll bring it up when I hear what the state does or wants to do. But it's not good for the environment to raise the price and make it difficult for people to save energy. And that's
I agree.
also, they have the microgrid is up and functioning in Arcata at the airport. They installed a big microgrid out there, which is a big solar array, and it powers the airport, and it has energy battery backups for the airport and the bunch of businesses around there that are tied into that grid. And so that is a functioning entity that RCEA brought about, which is a good thing for the county to do that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilson. And I have no reports to report out. I want to say hi to Nancy Kurtz because I miss her. I can't see her. So I think that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved by John.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Oh,
Second.
sorry.
Oh, there
We
we
have a
go.
motion, a second. I think we have a third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah.
So, motion carries. Meeting adjourned. See you on February 15th, everybody. Take care. Happy Groundhog Day.
Bye now.
Thank you.